discuss the Nobel Peace Prize further. Joining me now is Lukasz Swiatek. He's a lecturer in media and communications at the University of New South Wales, and he's joining me now live from Sydney. Thanks very much for joining us here on TRT World. Tell me, to what extent do you think the decision of the Nobel Committee was influenced by the war in Ukraine?
There's no doubt that the war in Ukraine played quite a significant role in this year's awarding of the prize. At the end of the day, there is an active conflict on Oslo's doorstep. There's really no other way of looking at that. The Norwegian Nobel Committee clearly wanted to bring or keep this at the attention of the international community.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that this was politically motivated?
I think at the end of the day, every Peace Prize carries political elements, that's for sure. The committee has said that it's not a prize, or it's not an award that's trying to punish anyone. It's for work that has been given. But we do have to keep in mind that at the end of the day, there are simply political elements at play. What I think is also very interesting with this particular prize is the way in which the committee has tried to focus on civil society, so on ordinary groups of people and their work and their role in terms of the wider conflict and the suppression by authoritarian regimes.
And, given the fact that the winners of this year's Nobel Peace Prize are basically all who are disliked by the Kremlin. So tell me, what kind of message does it send to President Putin?
It sends a very clear message, doesn't it, that what President Putin is doing is against the popular views and values of the international community. It's funny that today is President Putin's birthday, and one of the journalists at the media conference actually asked whether it was something of a slap in the face to President Putin. At the end of the day, though, the awarding of the prize always takes place around this time of year at the end of the working week of Nobel Week. For President Putin, though, who has, of course, the invasion of Ukraine, who has a failing army on his mind, the Peace Prize isn't exactly going to be high on his list of primary concerns.
Okay, now, but the contrarian view would say that this Nobel Peace Prize serves the interests of the West. In fact, about 2 hours ago, I was speaking to one analyst from Oslo, and he was basically saying that this Nobel Peace Prize was basically dictated by the U.S. Embassy, in his words.
That's a perspective that I think could be debated. We'll know in 50 years' time when the archives are open, but I very much doubt that the majority view would be that this is a prize dictated by the West and the United States. Certainly, the Norwegian Nobel Committee has always tried to emphasize the fact that it's an independent body. It makes its own decisions about Peace Prize winners. And we've certainly seen in the past, when the prize was awarded to people like Liu Xiaobo, that sparked an enormous storm and a lot of problems for China-Norway relations. So I think the committee would definitely reject the view that it's a Western and particularly American controlled enterprise.
Lukasz Swiatek, thanks very much for talking to us here on TRT World. Really appreciate your taking out the time.